I am very late for my for my daily stream, so I don't know what to say. And tonight's gonna have to be short because of how late I am. So I am just going to get into this and invite you all. Obviously, my channel is very small. It just started formally on the 1st, and I'm trying to get into the groove of things still. I don't know what to say, but I'm working on my set back here behind me. I'm trying to get all of the site operational at ohmTown.com, and I'm still working. So I know it's a bunch of excuses, but I'm trying to do this every single day, and I'm trying to get in here at 6 o'clock and do an hour and a half, 2 hours if I can. And I'm working towards doing more, but I got to get other things out of the way. That said, I'd really like it if when you stumble across these VODs, or if you happen to stumble into this channel while I'm streaming, I think that it would be great for you to follow me on Twitch and go over to ohmTown.com and register, become a citizen of ohmTown, and let me know what you would change, what you like, what you don't like. Like I said in my other VODs and my other streams, I don't like to plan out my stream. I like to riff off of people who come into the chat, when they come into the chat, if they come into the chat. But I'm going to be doing this every single day. High energy, low energy, or this kind of energy, which is more typical. I tend to not be loud and bombastic and crazy. And so if you want a nice chill stream there, you might be able to hear the music. Again, I don't have my monitor in to listen to it, but I hear music very low. But the objective of this stream is to talk about the categories that you see at the top of the page here. And what ohmTown does is it ingests, at one point I had 200 news sources that I was ingesting into this for my own access, not for the public's access. And then I opened it up to the public by installing some additional things. And right now it's actually gamified. You can subscribe to categories, to groups, to forums. And if you are interested, then you can follow just those and jump out of the others. And all of these are topics. So if you want to know about it more, check out the very first VOD that I have. But ohmTown is basically a news aggregation site with comments by those who are of like mind, are interested in the topics. We don't really have submissions, although there is a submit link. It'll go to me and I'll vet it and post it. It's not automatic. But tonight, I'm running kind of behind schedule. Not kind of. I'm 3 hours behind, or 2 hours behind schedule, and I only have about an hour because I have additional plans tonight. But I'll make up for it tomorrow and the weekend because I'm like I said, I'm planning on doing this every day for at least an hour, going for an hour and a half. But tonight I gotta call it quits right at the 1 hour mark. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah, so I'm right on track for that 1 hour. But so again, we have 6 main categories. So this one is creator, this one is news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. And these two are probably the most filled out in terms of what is there. News ingests quite a lot of information. Education has some information. Entertainment is kind of low. in terms of the news that it gets. I think I'm somewhere around 75 sources of information. But because of what I do when I'm not streaming, I tend to try to learn as much as possible through osmosis, just absorbing everything that I can. And sometimes it's information overload, which is why I don't really plan. And I follow this associative thought process where we can start in something in entertainment. If I click the link, you'll see how this works. There are subgroups, and then within the subgroups are news elements that have been ingested, right? So these are pulled into the site in real time, and then I'm going to go over some of them that I think is interesting. So like this one, it says, how is coffee decaffeinated? And this particular news source is Sprudge. And they'll talk about how coffee is decaffeinated. And if you've never found out why or how it's decaffeinated, you can read through this, which is all that I ask. If you find an article that's interesting based on the title and the little snippet of news on ohmTown, if you find it interesting and upvote or vote it upvote, or if you don't find it interesting, you can downvote it. And but before you vote or post, please read the article and then come back. And if we want to talk about it more on the stream, then we can do it either later in this stream, or if you've already read about it or want to talk about it, then post something in chat. If you want to talk about it live, real time with me, I'll throw a window up on the stream and I'll pull you into a Zoom meeting, and we can have a nice little chat right here, right now. And we can talk, answer questions. If there's something that you want to get off your mind, or off your chest, I should say, and keep it from rattling around in your head for the next however long. Let me tell you, some of my thoughts just rattle around in there, and I have to express them to somebody, or they drive you up a wall. So you might see me looking around at stuff. I actually have 4 monitors right here in front of me, and there's 2 more behind me, and a 65-inch TV on the wall. And I tend to, like I said, I consume. Oh, and I have an iPad and a phone sitting here. So I am getting radiation burns just by hosting this stream. So if you are into all of this and you want to stick around, I appreciate it. And, I will, the site's not set up for it, or my account's not set up for it. So, but I'll be giving out gift memberships, and I hope to see people come back. And again, I'll be doing this every day for however long, I guess you could say. I've always been wanting to do this. I've been on other sites that were spinning up, and then they just either I saw the writing on the wall that they were going to collapse, or they disappeared basically overnight because they just couldn't handle competition with Twitch and YouTube, and now Facebook. Like Mixer imploded, although it apparently had some pretty amazing technology behind it, but without the ability to scale up fast enough, it just kind of imploded after it was acquired. So talk about growing pains and first world problems, right? Make a millionaire out of somebody, and then it just pitters out. Kind of a shame, but This is the one that I've heard the most about, which is the Swiss water process. This is the one that I've heard is the way to pull caffeine out of coffee the most effectively, I suppose. But obviously I'm not the subject matter expert. But this article goes into detail about the various methods of pulling caffeine out of coffee. And I drink coffee every day, pretty much every day. Like this morning I had unsweet iced tea. How exciting is that? Well, if you enjoy it, once you kick the habit of drinking soft drinks, drinking other things becomes more flavorful, and you don't seek out the soft drinks like Coke and Pepsi and whatnot. And I'm not knocking them, because I love a good Coke or Pepsi or root beer or Mountain Dew every once in a while. But since the pandemic, let me tell you, I've had 5 soft drinks. I can count them on one hand, at least until, the vaccine grows another finger. Oh, I've said too much. Anyway, where was I? I am so easily distracted. So, this category is called food and drink, and right now it focuses on spirits and drinks in particular. I don't really have an idea for a food show. If you want to host a food show on here, I'm willing to fund it. It's a once a week, at least 1 hour show. And you stream straight into ohmTown on Twitch, and then send me your recording so that it will remain a VOD. But if you send me the recording, then I can do other things with it, which is additionally, it's the intent of this is to grow this so that more people of like mind discover ohmTown and become citizens of ohmTown on Twitch. So, quick rundown of what the entertainment category is distillerist, focuses on spirits, and I like a good rum. I like whiskeys. I like them primarily on the rocks. And some people go, oh my God, on the rocks, you're supposed to just sip it straight. And the cheaper stuff you're supposed to mix with Coke. Well, I drink how I like to drink, and so should you. Nobody should force you to drink something the way that they want you to. But sipping a good spirit is relaxing and kind of chills you after a long, hard day of whatever it is you might be doing. And one person's hard labor is somebody else's every day. So grab a drink, kick back, and chat with me. If you stumble across me in a VOD. Of the Bean is all about coffee. Of the Brew is all about beer. Of the Grape is all about wine. Of the Leaf is all about tea. And then we kind of flip into the entertainment side again in a different way, which is Mix War, which is this very very far from starting program where I want to allow people to mix music and pick a fight and have a mix war, where the citizens of ohmTown get to listen to the music, vote it up or down, a winner is declared, and prizes awarded. I am not a musician. But we are all bound by copyright and other legal matters that have yet to be overcome easily. Primarily mix war and musical tracks that aren't overtly authorized as free to use, open source, etc. They can't be used because it'll instantly flag. So if you are a musician and you are interested in facilitating this public competition for musical entertainment and competition live, they'll be streamed each week and on ohmTown.com. And I will even music that is submitted will be included in a 24-hour stream on ohmTown. When it isn't streaming a show, it will be streaming music. And like I said in one of my other VODs, I used to be licensed, BMI, ASCAP, etc., but they don't allow VODs. I can stream live right now, but I wouldn't be able to record a VOD. And that was the limit of what the license allowed. For me to actually have that sync license where the VOD would allow me, or would be allowed to play without getting flagged, I would have to get every single song granted permission to be streamed. And it's an untenable position for streamers in general. You would have to license with the people who own the libraries, and those aren't BMI. That isn't ASCAP. It is individual artists. So, like law, it's arcane and spooky and out of the reach of the common person. So much so that people would rather just wave their fist at it and be upset about it. And some people, like Lawful Masses with Leonard French, talk about it, and he just did a video called How You Can Help Fix Content ID. He just posted that about 8 hours ago on YouTube. You should go check him out. And I enjoy listening to him discuss the legal matters, and he tends to be on target with at least how I think about things. And I go way back with copyright. So back in the day when there were, well, like LimeWire and things, I had spun up a music service where you could get custom CDs made. And without any bit of irony, the people who said no to me ended up doing it themselves. So yeah, I thought it was quite fascinating, because they coined it as, well, what are you really doing? Well, I'm doing something that you're going to end up doing. So it was quite an interesting conversation, but this was 30 years ago now. Yeah, I'm getting up there. So a little bit of experience, a little bit of wisdom. Start early and be your own boss. Don't let anybody step in it or stop you from achieving your goals, your dreams. So if you got any questions, feel free to throw it into the chat. If you're watching the VOD well after the stream ends, which is in about 40 minutes, go over to ohmTown, post a message. You can always reach out to me on Twitch. When I'm not streaming on ohmTown, I'm actually in various people's streams as Mayor Watt. I'm Mayor Watt. I'm the mayor of ohmTown, and that's why Mayor Watt exists. And I don't advertise ohmTown when I'm in other people's chats on their streams. I've always thought that it was kind of weird, but sometimes somebody who's streaming will make a comment about me being in their stream and ask what I'm the mayor of, or if they already know, they will come and ask me, hey, you know, what is your stream? Then promote me on their channel. Dunkster just did that on his stream. He plays various games, but lately he's been playing Ark, and him and Timeless are a great pair to watch and interact with, because the chat is always going, and he never misses a beat. He's always interacting with the audience. So thank you, Dunkster, for embracing my antics in chat. Much appreciated. So 1 second. Okay, sorry about the silence. Yeah, Dunk isn't streaming right now. He was earlier today, and I was in his chat. And late. So East Coast time. He's out. He's actually in South Africa, and so he was up normal time for him, I suppose. And it was about 11 o'clock at night here on the East Coast when he was streaming. So, and then earlier today he was streaming. So go and check him out. Yeah, you won't regret it. Here, I'll even let me do it this way. You may hear me type. I apologize. I haven't fixed my my audio gate yet. But there's Dunk, and great guy. And along with Timeless, just an entertaining couple of variety streamers. So that's entertainment. And when you click on the link, basically you just get a bunch of links down below. Jon Stewart calling out J.K. Rowling for the goblins in Harry Potter's franchise. And this has always been a thing. And even the 20-year reunion on HBO apparently used recorded video of J.K. Rowling because of what is happening lately with people calling out the things that she is saying. And I've always thought that it's kind of interesting that a lot of people are either they fly under the radar until they're a billionaire, and then but this happens with everybody, not just, you know, the ultra rich, but people that are famous. They don't say anything that's outlandish or ill received until they've got so much money that they just don't seem to care that they're saying something that is seemingly outlandish to the rest of society. But if it's just me saying it, I'm almost invisible, and I would never say it in my professional area, right? Like I would never espouse this view publicly if it was a something that would outright offend And while everybody has the right to be offended and somebody else has the right to offend, society has always called out bad actors. The problem is the momentum, right? So over history, education and the old ways of people living in a society have slowly died out. And some people say that it's not for the better, but in a society where everybody is sharing information and the same air and basically everything, you can't be a society and then be isolated. You can't, or I should say, you shouldn't be able to benefit from society, but do nothing but take. You have to give back to society. And espousing a view like being anti-Semitic, it's the antithesis of what society is. Society is all of the people, and that's where I end up being called naive, because I think that everybody should be able to be sympathetic, compassionate, empathetic to somebody else's plight, whatever it might be. And we all share the same air, and we all have the same we all have the same bones and muscle, and we see the same things, maybe socially different because of our upbringing, but that's a matter of exposure. So suddenly a movie star that has millions starts espousing their view about something, and it's outlandish, yet people grab onto it because, well, if J.K. Rowling can say these things and I like J.K. Rowling, then I can say these things too. Well, like other things that I've mentioned in my previous VODs, taxing somebody 10% when you only make $15,000 a year is way more impactful than taxing somebody 10% when they make 1.5 million a year. So who's really going to feel the pain of that tax? So the reason why I frame it like that is, if a bunch of people get upset with a person that doesn't have a following, then it's seemingly no big deal. But the moment that they have a massive amount of following, and they say this perspective that would have been called out as outlandish and socially suppressed, which is identical to what would happen in school or in work or in social circles in a bar or wherever, right? You say outlandish things and society says, no, we're not interested in it. But the moment that you're famous, man, you can say whatever you want, and everybody just seems to either forget it, forgive it, embrace it, all manner of things, until it reaches a certain crescendo of social justice where people just go, oh, I'm tired of this garbage, and they fade into oblivion. But I don't think anything like that's going to happen with J.K. Rowling. I like the Harry Potter franchise. I've got all of the movies. I've got the original Harry Potter series of books, but not all of the stuff that came after book 8, or, well, whatchamacallit. Oh my God, my brain just went blank. After Deathly Hallows. So there's 8 movies, 7 books, and I've got the books, and I've got and I started getting the audiobooks, by the way. So I'm not shying away from the fact that I like the Harry Potter franchise, but don't necessarily discount the books because of the author, although it seems to be able to empower somebody because now they've got the money. So don't just gobble up what somebody says just because they're rich. That's probably the bigger message that I'm trying to get across. And I don't know why in the United States they used a different voice actor for the books. Man, everywhere else it's a different voice actor, narrator. So frustrating. So I ended up returning those audiobooks because I didn't like the way, he was pronouncing it Voldemort, and that just drove me nuts. And because I've always heard it as Voldemort. So for whatever reason it says Voldemort. Anyway, man, I am just rattling on about this. At any rate, if you go down the list, you can find more articles. Miley Cyrus tops Twitter on New Year's Eve as Boba Fett comes in like a wrecking ball. Miley Cyrus had a wardrobe malfunction. So I'm not surprised that she came in like a wrecking ball herself, but handled it like a pro. Not like others who kind of hyped it up and or acted a fool. She was entirely a professional, and essentially the way that she handled it made it disappear pretty quick. It was not a thing, not a big deal. And she looked good doing it. So congrats to her to not making it a thing. Let's see. More people testing positive for COVID-19, depending on where you are. I think we're at something like 1 million people were infected with the Omicron. I think maybe, I can't remember. I don't want to say that number. I don't think it's 1 million. But it's somewhere pretty darn high because just around every state that I looked at, it's in the tens of thousands of COVID-19 infections. And it's going to get worse because of Christmas and lax policy. So let's move on. Fieldwork Brewing announces plans to open largest tap room in San Leandro, California. If you've never gone on a tour of a brewery or a distillery, you should go and check it out and see what it's like. I've got a distillery near me that allows people to learn how to distill their own spirits. And I'm hoping to go do it as soon as, well, I don't have a 50-50 chance of catching COVID, apparently. I really wish that I wouldn't be influenced by it, but even with the vaccine, you can still get it and still give it. And I just don't want to do that. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of news here in that entertainment category. So social is another main category and talks about policy and law and copyright, trademark, patents. I do have Smash or Trash. Smash or Trash is kind of like Mixed War, except that it's discussing public music, like commercial music. Not, I should say, God, it's not even main. I don't want to call it mainstream. I don't like saying mainstream. This is the copyrighted music. And that was the idea originally for this, but it might expand into anything. Is it a smash hit or trash it. It could be a movie, it could be a book, it could be a song or an album. It could be anything. Stream Stars, on the other hand, is all about new streamers, streamers in general. And I'm hoping to do with this kind of like what I want to do with Mix War, which is I want to give awards, and by posting streamers into the discussion boards, you can vote them up, and we give awards weekly, monthly, semi-annually, annually. Obviously, there will be other categories and whatnot, but I would like to focus on those who don't have a large following. And, you know, I'm not saying that I have any subject matter expertise that makes me more valuable for an opinion than anybody else, but I want to draw attention to these streamers. So one of the biggest feeds that I have is around law, and that's because I'm kind of intertwined in law. My focus when I'm not streaming is business, society, and technology, and in all of those, law plays a very big part. So if you're interested in going to law school, you can follow this link here. If you're in high school or just starting out for college, you can follow this link. It goes to Above the Law. I haven't read this article. I don't really, like I said earlier, I really don't like getting overly prepared, because it might cause me to focus on one particular aspect, and I just don't like that. So if you don't know, you can actually go to college while you're in high school, and you can complete your associate's degree while you are in high school and get your high school degree at the exact same time. So when you graduate high school, you graduate your 2-year associate's degree, and then you can transfer to a 4-year, and you're 2 years ahead of time. If I would have known that when I was in high school, it would have been easier for me, because I wasn't really interested in the high school experience, let alone the college experience. That all turned around about 15 years ago. I'm what you would consider a non-traditional student. I ended up going back to college after starting my first business when I was 18. Actually, before I was 18, but the value to me in college was verifying what I learned in the trenches, and I've realized that life would be a whole lot easier if you would finish college, because it opens doors. Even to this day, a lot of people say, well, you can just, get a certification or just do a portfolio or something like that, right? Develop your skills, but you can't get past filters very easily. And you have to have a lot more hustle to open doors without a degree. So it took me a lot longer to get where I wanted to be. And frankly, I don't think I'm really where I want to be. Where I am right now, streaming and talking about politics, and not politics, but society and technology and business. That's where I want to be. And I'm just starting that now, right here, right now in 2022. And I'm no spring chicken. So if you want to do it, if you want to streamline your way into the field that you're interested in, then you certainly can do it. Many high schools integrate dual education or early college type concepts into their curriculum. So talk to your high school and see if they have a program for it. And maybe you can become the youngest law school student ever. This person did it at 16, apparently. So you'll find a bunch more articles over on ohmTown.com. 2021, the year in review for IP developments. If you don't know what IP is, it's intellectual property. This is another above the law link. And let's see what they say. Yeah, this is a really interesting article. Because they talk about everything from the Peloton to Satan shoes, to the Google v. Oracle SCOTUS decision. And you should go and check it out. I won't read the whole article unless there are people in my chat that are interested in reviewing it and talking about it in real time. But all of my feeds that I gather into ohmTown lead to sources that I found are valuable in the due diligence necessary to know what's going on in myriad categories. So this is just some of them that pull into these categories, right? So not everything that gets pulled into social is going to be of interest to you, but it might link you to something else. Somewhere on ohmTown, you will find an article that you are interested in. And Right Protect is one of those where it really draws out conversation, and I don't think I have anything in there right now, but talking about copyright, trademark, patents, open source, and the ability to revoke your right to something that you previously might have had the right to, which is really interesting because I can revoke copyright, which happened with a publisher on Amazon with the book 1984, where people who had Kindle purchased the book, and then the publisher or the seller was found not to have the rights to sell that book. And so 1984 was yeeted off of all of the Kindles that had been used to purchase 1984. Kind of fascinating situation there. One of my favorite things in social here is the continuity report. It really should be in entertainment, because this has to do with movies, and the continuity report is something where we can watch a movie and we can talk about it, and we can talk about the news that's associated with movies. And there's a podcast called How Did This Get Made that is always a blast to listen to. They just did the movie Babes in Toyland. Let me see. Hopefully you don't hear my mechanical keyboard. Again, I apologize. So the one that I'm talking about is the 1986 Babes in Toyland with Drew Barrymore, Richard Mulligan, Eileen Brennan, and who else? Drew Barrymore. That's right. So Drew Barrymore was in it, and this movie is it's 86, but it seems like it's some other era. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it was a hard movie. I struggled through it, but the How Did This Get Made podcast did a great discussion on it. It's a lot of fun to listen to the podcast, so go and check them out. How Did This Get Made? Just do a search for it and you'll find them, and it's a real blast to listen to them. Many years ago, we actually joked about having the internet balkanized in a way where you would have to subscribe to a bunch of different apps just to get the content that you would normally get via television. And it was really funny because people would laugh and laugh and laugh about it. And I completely saw it coming. I just knew that it was going to blindside people. So now to get certain movies or shows or TV shows, right? So you have to subscribe to Paramount Plus, but if you want something else, you have to subscribe to Netflix. And if you want something else, you have to subscribe to Prime. And if you want something else, you have to subscribe to Hulu. And it's so balkanized that I'm curious as to when it's all going to come back around and we're going to have something referred to as internet TV, and everybody goes to one place and all of these streaming sites feed into it just like we do with television, except now the commercials are in a different place, right? So before it was broadcast and you couldn't really skip a commercial until you recorded it on VHS and then jumped through it. Later on, now you have to wait for it to record, because if it's on demand, you can't jump through it. You can't skip through commercials. But if you record it to a DVR, then you can fast forward it. Maybe it depends on the what you're paying for your account and what the app is. Not all of them allow you to just skip through. So it's everything old is new again, and everything new is just gonna ramp up, and you're gonna get everything that you want, and then it's just gonna peter out. It's like going to a new restaurant and you get just 5-star experience, and then in 10 years the prices have remained the same or they've increased. The margin has decreased because of whatever. The cost of living has increased, and so instead of charging exorbitant rates and killing their business, something else gives. So you don't have such a 5-star experience in a restaurant that's been around for too long. It's just weird. It's just an odd thing. But anyway, in the continuity report, of course, we end up with that same article about Jon Stewart calling out J.K. Rowling. The same one about Miley Cyrus. Cobra Kai is still going, which is interesting. I've never seen an episode of it. Maybe I'll binge watch it when it ends, kind of like Arrested Development. Wasn't into it when it came out, but then I binge watched it, and fell in love with the show. I mean, it was just a laugh riot. And that's the reverse of what happened with Seinfeld. I watched every episode of Seinfeld as it came out. And now I don't binge watch Seinfeld in any way, shape, or form. Still think it's funny, but I have binge watched Arrested Development more than once. Mariah Carey and Adele keep their singles and album crowns in first charts of 2022. Not hard to believe. Seth Meyers cancels week of late night shows after testing positive for COVID-19. That's a bummer. Infection rates, positivity rates are wildly high for Omicron. So once you're inside a group, a discussion board, you can go through page after page. Right now there's 15,000 discussions sitting in the continuity report. Since I just opened this up to the public, there isn't much in terms of chatting on the site. But again, I feel compelled to let everybody know that this site was entirely used for my consumption until I broke it out into the various components. It used to be just that front page, and I would go through it page after page, and it was just for me. But now it's up for everybody. So I hope that you get something out of this stream. Eventually it'll be more entertaining. If people were talking in my chat, I'd be engaging more, and that's really what energizes me, is the discussion. Otherwise I'm just consuming the news with you and giving my 2 bits of perspective about things. Technology is my forte. That's the field that I'm in, along with business. So obviously I have great interest in technology in general. There was this big thing, it's still getting talked about in some circles, but there was a guy who blew up Tesla. What was the podcast? There was a podcast that ended up talking about it. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Stuff They Don't Want You to Know did a show on the blowing up of a Tesla. So this Tesla was a 2013 Tesla, and probably driven to the end of its capacity for the batteries. I mean, it's not hard to believe a 2013 that's been running for 7.5 or 8 years. The lifespan of the batteries isn't too far off from being zero rechargeability and power retention. I mean, it goes through a certain amount of cycles and you basically have a dead battery at paperweight. Well, it was a $23,000 or $22,000 paperweight. It was a $45,000 car that this person purchased, but it only drove 1,000 miles. And then, and I had read all of this, and then my podcast app played this episode, and it just reminded me, oh God. But they kind of took a lot out of context. They admitted that they wanted to know more information. But by no means is a 2013 Tesla S going to still be I mean, it would be like me being called, a young gazelle running through the tundra. No, I mean, this thing has probably been beaten up charge wise. The car may look great, but the battery is just going to be on its last leg. So like any battery, it's expensive. There's a lot of tech in it. Everything that's in it is barely renewable, or reusable. And so it costs $23,000 to replace it. So instead of spending $23,000 to replace it, they blew it up. This guy blew it up, not Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. And so now they're making money off of the YouTube video. And at the time it was somewhere around 5 million views. I don't know what it's at now, but it's tech, and batteries are considered expendable. And so if you buy that car, I would have tried to find out if I could get a warranty on it, because that battery is astronomically expensive and it's a known cost. Everybody knows that the batteries are expensive, and it's the foundation of the car. It is the sled. So to replace it is a metric ton of work. You got to pull it all out and put new ones in. It's no easy, simple task. It's time consuming, it's heavy, it's laborious. So I wouldn't have bought a Tesla for $45,000 unless I had another $30,000 to replace the batteries when they actually do die. I mean, when it's brand new, it's a $125,000 car to start. So, right? Let me see. Where is it at? The last time I looked at them, it was a $120,000 car. So it's starting at $100,000. So not too far off. And if you're going to get a Tesla, you don't, let's see, you got to get red because, red makes your car go faster, makes anything go faster. You got to get the arachnid wheels, 21-inch wheels. We're at $102,000. I like a black interior. If you got kids, you got to have a black interior. Got to have full self-driving. There's $10,000. So you're looking at $112,000. Easy. $112,000. And that's just the standard dual motor all-wheel drive Model S. If you want the Plaid edition, which is a tri-motor, you're looking at $147,000. But it's 1,020 horsepower. Yeah, you could drop the kids off at the school pretty darn quick. And it has torque vectoring. So you're basically a stealth fighter drifting into the school drop-off. Yeah, I could probably handle that. Except for the fact that its batteries are astronomically expensive. It has too short a range for me. So I can drive, well, I guess it would be weird for me to just start saying where I can drive to from where I am. But in my car, I can drive just shy of 400 miles on a single tank. Obviously, I'm not going to be driving at 1,020 horsepower, but where can you really do that? I don't know. Go check out CES. It's been kind of hobbled because of the COVID outbreak again. So we're talking about all of 2020, all of 2021, and now 2022. Man, I really want that out of my lexicon, off my radar. But I don't think that's going to happen. So this category, this gadgets and technology, it's probably the one that gets the most news. And that's interesting. Google will pay top execs $1 million each after declining to boost workers' pay. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Dell has a new USB-C ultra sharp 4K video conferencing monitor. Interesting. So band to bezel, it ingests news about watches. If you are into watches, I watch somebody that's on YouTube that tears them apart and repairs them. I think it's awesome to sit down and just watch it, but I cannot justify $81,000 for a watch. That said, I don't think that I can spend $81,000 on anything. Now, if I was a billionaire, maybe. I don't know. But I like my Apple Watch. And I'm good with that. Of course, it doesn't run more than a day without having to be plugged in. The Speedmaster runs perpetually. Okay, y'all. I think I'm going to call it quits for today. And I will be back tomorrow. I hope to see you here. I might end up playing games over the weekend. But for now, thank you for coming. Thank you for visiting ohmTown on Twitch. Feel free to follow me here. You'll get alerted when I start a stream. Would be so happy to have a conversation with somebody in chat. And swing by ohmTown.com and we'll have a discussion. Much thanks. Take care.